What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us today. Love to see a packed house. Everybody looks great here on late stage CES life. As I said, this is the changing metaverse landscape, challenges as opportunities. I'm Jon Wilde, SVP of Editorial at BDG, and I've got four amazing folks here with us who are going to kind of dig into the metaverse, what the hell it is, why it's going great, where some opportunities are, and we'll have some fun. I'm going to introduce everybody. First, to my left is Betty, one name, like Cher. She's the co-founder and CEO of Deadfellaz, which is an NFT project. I think you'd probably call it best. She's also a vocal advocate for both creator protections and equality in NFTs, crypto, and web3, which is great. We've got Zach Bruch. He's the co-founder and CEO of RECUR, the premier platform for powering innovative multi-chain NFT experiences for brands, creators, and fans. Justin Hochberg. He's the CEO and co-founder of Virtual Brand Group, one of the world's largest metaverse brand builders, operators, and monetizers. And VFG has worked with Forever 21, Barbie, NBC, The Voice, so very big brands. And last, never least, we've got Dave Treat. He leads Accenture's Metaverse Continuum Business Group, which includes blockchain and multi-party systems businesses, which he actually launched along with Accenture's extended reality business back in 2015. So that's the group. It's going to be fun. And I'm going to start off with maybe the hardest question of them all, which I slightly prepped them for, but I think got a little bit of a, oh my God, what are you asking? Back in the green room. There's a lot of ambiguity around what the metaverse is. I think when you talk to, if you talk to 20 people, you probably get 20 answers, but I've got 4 people here, so I'm going to ask for their 4 answers. In 2, maybe 3 sentences at most, explain your version of what the metaverse is. And Dave, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, I thought I was going to go last year.
Right. See? I love that. I love that.
All right, so when I was a kid, if I wanted to talk to someone, I'm old enough, I had to go to the landline in my house, or I had to walk to a phone or find a payphone. Yeah. I had to connect with my kids, my wife, whatever. So now, obviously, anyone right now in this room, anytime, anywhere, anyone, we can call someone and talk to them. We're not going to do that for the rest of our senses and the rest of our, the constructs of our lives to be able to bring our identity, money, and objects, our places and experiences. We're going to be able to be anywhere, have anywhere be with us together in a collaborative way. And so it's the end of that 2-dimensional, highly constrained version of the digital world that we have to kind of, find a portal into, to now having that digital world be everywhere in 3 dimensions, anything, anywhere, anytime, with anyone, right here, right now.
All right. You used a lot of commas in there, but I think you came in under the 3-sentence.
So run-on sentence.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Justin, you're next.
Same what he said, but I'm going to do it with a bigger gesture. First of all, I'm going to start with screw the metaverse. I am tired of giving Facebook, i.e. Meta, branding over all of the things we do. I don't want to call it the metaverse anymore, okay? Because everybody associates metaverse with Meta. So I don't like that, okay? A lot of brands, so I want to start with that. Now, what do I think it is? I think everything Dave said in terms of the transition is correct. What I think of it more like is, what can it do for me literally right now? One of the problems we currently have is that it's a lot of technology and not a lot of use cases. So if you can get your NFL Raiders tickets today without having to go to Ticketmaster and without having to pay those fees, that's the metaverse.
All right. I got to stop you. That's like 7 sentences.
That's an example. It's whatever's good for the consumer in many different ways.
All right. And you shot some shots fired already early in this conversation. Love it. Zach, lots to follow there, but you're up.
I don't mind the word metaverse. I never think about Mark Zuckerberg all that much.
He thinks about you, though.
Potentially. I think digital interaction and digital engagement. You can be riding a Peloton, you're in the metaverse. In a Zoom call, you're in a metaverse. You're FaceTiming, you're in a metaverse. Using the digital world to connect with other people for all sorts of different things and different use cases. To me, that's what the metaverse is. And then what we're doing at RECUR, obviously, is trying to make that easy for everybody to access that type of world.
All right. And Betty, last but not least, and I think I heard you say, I like the word metaverse.
Yeah, I feel like we rack our brains too much to come up with a definition of the metaverse. I think that, there's many of you in the audience right now that are on your phones. I see you, listen. You're on the metaverse. You're already operating there. We spend most of our time, we get the notifications, you've had this much screen time today. That's shocking, but
It hurts.
is what it is. So we're already operating in these digital spaces all day, every day. I think that's the metaverse. Just the way that that is facilitating human connection and experience is going to be, evolving over the next few years and into what we think the metaverse could be. I think there's a problem with us believing that metaverse spaces should be all, neon and black and like very Tron looking.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's Discord, it's Twitter. It's like where we're already at.
All right.
Yeah.
So in some way, that almost, I think, is both fascinating and complicating because if the metaverse is everything, it kind of becomes a little bit of nothing. So I'm excited to kind of dive into how we get to what success looks like, particularly in a moment where the metaverse is a little bit messy and chaotic. And I used the word chaotic backstage, and Justin, you immediately said, no, I don't agree with that. So we'll start there. You said you don't think it's actually chaotic right now, and I want to kind of hear briefly why you don't think it's chaotic, and then I want to know if anybody else up here agrees or disagrees.
The hardest part of that question was the word brief, but I will inherit.
I know.
You can already sense that. The reason I think that generally there's a lot of confusion in the marketplace, even for people who work in it, because things are evolving. But I think in the context of where we are in the growth curve and adoption of new technologies, new use cases, new businesses being built, you probably didn't have a practice that existed X number of years ago. This is new. So when you start something new, it is by definition always going to be chaotic, whether that's a new family or a new company or a new industry. And so where we are in that curve may seem like chaos, but it is the natural order of growth. And that's why I say we are exactly where we should be, where things rise and fall, technologies, they have success, you learn it. If you go back to the advent of the internet, there was a boom in the late 90s, crashed in March of 2001, and people said, is this a thing or is it over? Right? So I think this is a natural order of how this business grows. And you have to have that in order to shake out what becomes a steady state of successful businesses, whatever the metaverse version of Amazon or et cetera would be.
All right. Does anybody disagree?
No, I don't disagree, but I do have thoughts. I don't think it's chaotic, but it can feel chaotic from an outsider's perspective, and I think that has a lot to do with the expectations that consumers have. The integrity of the aesthetics of the metaverse is, the metaverse spaces that are available right now, like Decentraland and Sandbox, it doesn't align with the experience that people have playing video games, and I think that expectation is being applied to those spaces, but the tech and the aesthetics don't line up just yet.
Yeah.
But they will. We're so early, and that's a statement that a lot of people in this space say constantly, but it's true. We are so early, and it will develop, and those expectations will align at some point, but right now I think I agree we're where we're supposed to be right now.
Actually, one of the things that I think is that what we're witnessing right now is the aftermath of some chaos. So what you started seeing in 2021 was so many people rushing in and coming to do whatever they can as fast as they can in the metaverse, in NFTs, in crypto, whatever it might be. And they were rushing, making mistakes and things like that. And now we're seeing a bit of the aftermath. But what's currently happening right now behind the scenes by builders and others in the space and creators in the space, there's a tremendous amount of thoughtfulness. And the folks that are wanting to be here in the long run are still here and building and doing things in a way that is being built with a much long-term mindset. So I'd say today, right now, actually less chaos, but there definitely was chaos about a year ago when everyone was rushing as fast as they can to get something out there.
Well, but I think
Hold on one second. I want to give Dave a chance to kind of jump in here. He raised his hand.
Sorry, David.
Ooh, you saved me, David.
Yes, you did.
The other perspective that is really important to take, and in naming the group that we put together in Accenture, we inserted this very somewhat awkward word to say of continuum, but we did it intentionally because if you look at every major innovation wave, it's preceded by a couple of decades worth of work that laid the foundation, and the metaverse is the we don't The language doesn't help us because we like to come up with new terms. But what we're just seeing is that integration of a decade's worth of working on the systems of record, right? How do we have the control over identity, money, and objects in new ways that pierce through corporate firewalls? And we've got much more ownership and creativity and the like. And that's all the blockchain, contribution to how we're going to enable all of us to be able to bring our stuff with us from place to place to place and pay anyone, anywhere, anytime, and represent ourselves and the like. That's been a decade plus in development, but that innovation wave was missing the systems of engagement, like the actual user interface, the lovable experience, the front end that you would engage with. And so the extended reality, mixed reality, augmented reality, virtual reality, we've been at that for decades, right? And that innovation wave, so what we're seeing is two innovation waves coming together, and lo and behold, now with, we have generative AI, we've got AI cloud, XR, AR, VR, blockchain, we just have a whole number of waves coming together that unfortunately, right, conferences schedule panels on each one of these topics individually, and now we all have to recognize that actually we're seeing just a much greater integration of this whole continuum of technologies to create, a whole new idea of what the digital world is. And so if you only look at it from one lens, sure, it seems super chaotic. If you look at it from the perspective of how these innovation waves are coming together, you see a multi-decade natural progression to an inevitable outcome that will break us away from the digital world, is something that we experience on a flat plane of glass, in the computer we're sitting in front of, or the phone we're holding up.
All right. I've got a question, because you mentioned all these kind of technologies crashing together in the ways in which they're kind of like in their own evolutionary stages and coming together to kind of create something that feels like the metaverse, but depends on how they layer and stack. This is being broadcast, so I'll phrase this: hug, marry, kill, NFTs, cryptocurrency, and AR, VR. Ooh. Where do you go? And explain yourself briefly. Zach, I'm going to start with you.
I'm all about love. I love them all. I can't choose. I wouldn't kill either of them. I think there's a ton of innovation happening across the board everywhere. I've been in the crypto space for the past 12 years, so I got my start in it when there was next to nothing there.
Yep.
And then sat at some of the largest exchanges and trading desks like Kraken and DRW and watched the trading evolution and institutions come in there. Then on the NFT side, we're just starting. We're just getting started there. And now that the tools are starting to exist for large institutions and creators to just do what they do best and create and not have to worry about the back-end infrastructure or technology, we're really going to start seeing incredible amounts of innovation. So I think that right now, yes, there are different things, ups and downs. Like David was saying, technology is moving in different waves. It doesn't mean they all can't flourish or all work together in different types of ways. So for me, it's all love still. I don't, have a favorite or a least favorite, and I think they're all going to work very nicely.
You're swiping right in all of them. Betty.
Yep.
I also don't think I could kill any of them.
All right, fine.
Obviously, I love NFTs so much because that's what I do. AR, VR, I think the other two kind of exist in a symbiotic relationship, and so they make sense together. AR, VR, while a lot of people, think that it's quite faddy, and it's just a cool thing that people are kind of trying out right now. I actually think it's the future of gaming and the future of metaverses, but I don't think that it's how we're doing it right now.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of a lot of AR, VR projects. Jadu is an amazing one. We've developed our tokens, all of our Deadfellaz characters, into basically being able to use the gaming that they're doing through everything that they're doing, and I think that it's really awesome. It kind of bridges the things that I'm doing and the metaverse spaces that are being built into context that consumers can understand.
Yeah.
Right? So you can all of a sudden you can play in these spaces, but through TikTok or Snap or
platforms you're on already.
Yeah, that makes sense to consumers, and I think that once we do see that being adopted more, that's where we'll start getting that user base and that mass adoption. So I do think they all just go together, really.
All right.
Yeah.
Justin, are you going to keep them all, or are you going to actually...
Wait, what are the threes? NFTs, AR, VR, what was the third one?
Cryptocurrency.
Okay, so kill AR, VR.
Great.
Let me back up. My answers are going to be based on a very simple premise. how can I help consumers or brands right now or over the next year in terms of changing their business on scale, right? So through that lens, it's all about practical solutions, not 5-year plans as what might work. So if that's my lens, my answer is kill AR, VR, because on a consumer basis, the infrastructure's not there. I would hug crypto because it's important in as much as it's a tool to allow people to purchase items and transact in a way that's frictionless, so that's good. And I would marry the technology of NFT, but I would kill the speculative market of bubbles and collectibles that we have been trained on over the period of time.
All right. That was great. Dave.
All right, I'm going to play off that. So
No.
No. So I'm going to marry AR and VR because going back to that example where I started as a child, where I had to go to the kitchen to talk to someone on the phone, why would I hang on to being limited to the digital world, being the computer that I have to go, the laptop I have to open on my lap, or the phone I have to pull out of my pocket? For me, I wear these all day, every day, right? Don't make the mistake of looking at the brick phone of the 80s and saying nobody's going to carry that around, which someone did. Someone made that assessment. Go look it up. Look through that, right? And so for me, the ability to wear something all day, every day that puts compute everywhere is going to be phenomenal. And so that's why I'm going to marry it.
Going to be.
No, and I agree with you on that point.
You're going to get engaged because you can't marry that because that is not happening.
We're dating that right now. Yeah.
You got a promise ring.
Yeah. On the kill side, I'm gonna be cute with it. I think it's super unfortunate that the hype cycle around the term NFT took off the way it did and locked everyone into a mindset. I'm going to agree with you here of the notion of artificial scarcity driving a valuation of a collectible. That is a great, that is a use case. I'm going to put it out there. Fungible tokens are going to be vastly more important than non-fungible tokens. And we've been at the tokenization space for a very long time. It started, I don't know, even if I just think of the most recent, manifestation, we started the token taxonomy framework within the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. It's now part of the Global Business Blockchain Council to really take a much more comprehensive view of tokenization and token infrastructure to apply it to identity, money, and objects. Fungible has wildly important use cases. If I bring it to kind of some of the themes of this group, right? If you're a brand and you want to have your brand show up in metaverse places, why would you create a small number of them at a stupid valuation? Why wouldn't you want everyone wearing your brand? So if you're going to create something for someone's avatar to wear, sell it at a fixed, 50 cents, $1, and sell 300 million of them rather than, So anyway, so let's break away from the term, realize that tokenization is a much wider concept, embrace the notion of the interplay between the tokenization of identity, money, and objects, and the wallet infrastructure within it's held and what that can unlock around business models. And then, as it pertains to cryptocurrency, again, I'm going to be cute. It's a hug, but my deep focus is on the most mature end of digital currency. And so how do we, again, break away from the valuation trap that has held cryptocurrency back from being an actual currency, and recognize that 105 of the world's central banks are creating central bank digital currency. We've got the first bank-issued stablecoins come out. Don't lose the true innovation of being able to pay anyone, anywhere, anytime, move money in a whole new manner, redefine the payment rails. Digital currency is going to be massively impactful, and look to the highest quality forms of money because that's what the average person on Main Street's going to need.
All right. You touched on something in there, which was the notion of fungible tokens versus non-fungible tokens. Obviously, Betty and Zach, you both live in a space where the N in the NFT has a solid amount of value. And we've also seen, and I think the thing we're talking about here, which is the metaverse in a moment of, if not chaos, a little bit of turbulent waters for somebody on the outside. So if you meet with somebody, it's a brand, it's a creator, it's a commercial venture, they walk in the room, they say, I'm interested in the metaverse, I'm interested in maybe in particular NFTs. What do you tell them right now in this moment in terms of, here's what you need to do to go in and do something useful and valuable that's going to make sense for you doing it right now in 2023 and not in 2021 or 2022 when the NFT world and kind of that notion was a little bit more frothy. So I'm going to start with Betty.
I feel like a lot of people have jumped into the space and, seen the hype cycle of 2021 and early 2022 and believed that you can just jump in and make a lot of money and, this is an amazing opportunity for me to extract an incredible amount of wealth from the people that are participating in this industry. And that needs to be reframed by brands, and the brands that have done really well have been able to look at this space and see it more of an opportunity to add value to their audience and turn that audience into a community, which I believe is what will drive buyers and commerce and everything moving forward. And so with that value add, it's looking at what can the metaverse bring that you have never been able to provide as a brand. What can NFTs bring? What doors can they unlock that bring an experience to your consumer base that you've never been able to do before? And if you're able to kind of unlock that and come in with respect for the ethos of Web3 and respect for the things that are being built, I think that you'll do really well. I think the challenge that a lot of brands especially face is that the way that things operate in Web3, especially within communities built around NFTs, they expect a certain level of transparency, and that requires brands to give up a little bit of control and change the way that they're operating internally, which does again require trust in the space. And because the lack of use cases over the last 2 years, because we're so new, that trust has had to come from brands that have just kind of thrown caution to the wind and jumped in. We've seen over the last 2 years, though, a lot of really meaningful activations and meaningful things from brands, in partnership, especially with NFT projects and builders from the space directly. And so I think it's going to become easier and easier for more brands to do the same thing and to have more of a blueprint and, a roadmap of what to do and what not to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zach, your entire job, I think, at RECUR is to kind of hold hands and brings brands into this world. What's the thing you're telling them right now to do it well and not to make a mistake when they set foot in it?
Well, it's really interesting. So the first year of our business, there was a lot of hand-holding because the tools were all still being built.
Yeah.
But a big part of our thesis is that a lot of these creators, a lot of these storytellers are literally the best storytellers in the world, but they didn't have the tools to do what they needed to in Web3. So what we're doing is giving them the tools so that they can go and be creative. So when we're talking to CMOs of Fortune 500 businesses, we're going over, why does this make sense? Does Web3 even make sense for them? And if the answer is yes, okay, here are the tools to enable that for you so you can have better engagement with your customer base, so you can have different collaborations with other brands at scale, so you can continue the journey with your consumers and have it ongoing. It doesn't all have to be laid out from day one. Or with publicly traded video games businesses we're working with, we don't go to them and say, hey, we're gonna go build a game for you on the blockchain. We say, hey, why don't you leverage our tools and integrate NFTs the way that you see best in your existing games, and we have games launching soon that have been building on our tools and infrastructure. And I think something that's not talked about enough is how creators like Betty and others, and we saw some on the stage right before us, how they've changed the entire landscape and how they've allowed there to even be NFTs in general. A paradigm shift only happens when new creators emerge from that new technology, and we had the chance to see that via NFTs, and now all these legacy brands and businesses are coming in. But I think that's an important point to mention. So it doesn't have to be that these new brands are copying those folks or entering Web3 as this small ecosystem that it is today. Rather, how are they growing the pie, entering in a space in a way that's authentic, and having the tools to do so. So that's how we approach it.
All right. Justin.
Well, so I approach this from the perspective of when we go to work with brands, whether we're consulting with them or whether we're building their businesses, how are we going to directly make them money, right? So we try to focus on bottom line revenue for these people in these ecosystems. And so our approach to it is sort of the other half of his statement, which is there's this tool, this is how we see using it, and this is the result of how you're going to either acquire more customers, retain customers better, create new products, or monetize something better. And we speak to them in those terms because the people that we're dealing with are not necessarily going to get in the weeds on that stuff. They just want to know what are the benefits to them, and nothing speaks better to a brand than here's how we do those 4 things, capped off with more revenue. And if we can do that for them, then they love us.
Got it. Dave.
Yeah, again, in the same spirit, one of our superpowers, right, is we work across all, we view the world in 19 industries. We're looking at the impact of innovation on the entire industry, the business model, soup to nuts, the whole experience. And so if you visit us in our booth, here at CES, we've got the Snap Mirror in the booth, and right, you can stand in front of the Snap Mirror. I can try on the North Face jacket, or I can try on the LVMH product, and where this is going to head, right? Generally, and is, no matter what format you're experiencing it. If you're going, you threw a wonderful fashion show in Decentraland, that notion of let's take the entire life cycle of can I try it on, see how it's going to fit on me, actually like it, want to buy it? Can I get a tokenized copy of it for my avatar to wear it, no matter what platform I'm showing up with, because I'm holding it in my wallet? It can be resolved into a Horizon Worlds, or Microsoft Mesh or wherever. So now I've purchased a physical good. It's going to be on my way to my house. I'm not going to share my home address. I'm not gonna. Why would I need to give my home address to the retailer that I sold it to? I have a token. I'm gonna eventually have, excuse me, a token from the United States Postal Service maybe that says this is my home address. I can protect my data privacy by sharing the token not with the retailer, not with the. It's Brett from UPS who actually needs to know to associate that delivery to my token, because he's my driver from UPS who always drops off the packages at my house. The data we're collecting right now is if I'm try it on in an immersive context and do that purchase, I have a material reduction in the return rate. That is a huge cost savings to the retailer. And so thinking about all of the different value pools of a simple, lovable experience for me, I got to try something on, in a much more creative fashion. I could do it collaboratively with my partner or whoever friend can be in the environment with me. I have a simple, lovable experience. The business model behind the scenes to do that fulfillment is simplified and the data is protected. The return rate being reduced helps the environment. We're doing something more sustainable. Like thinking anyone who's getting involved in the space, hold tightly on to the wonderful individual idea, but think about all of the potential of that end-to-end business model, because there's a lot there as we're going to fundamentally simplify the digital world and all these processes.
Yeah. A lot of what you guys talked about was kind of how brands can kind of step into the metaverse, and in a lot of ways, many of you are kind of like helping or collaborating with brands that are kind of finding their way into it. A lot of what I've seen has been this kind of quick moment where they come in, they do a project, they kind of wander off. You see an NFT offering that slowly fritters away. You see kind of a metaverse project where it happens for a couple days and then it's kind of a dead zone afterwards. I want to know, is that still valuable here in 2023 in the metaverse for a company to do something that's quick and kind of a flashpoint and then wander off? Or do you feel like at this point the value is in doing something more long-term?
I have so many thoughts on that. So we participated in Metaverse Fashion Week in Decentraland last year, and we collaborated with Giuseppe Zanotti. So we brought his Cobra sneakers into the metaverse. We had a virtual store, and a lot of other brands had virtual stores. There were very, very well-known legacy brands participating in that activation. And Deadfellaz took 95% of the sales and the attention, and we had the most visitors. Going up against brands like that and having that result, it was immediately obvious that brands cannot just jump into this space and have it work. I think that you can look at the revenue that's been turned over and easily just have dollar signs in your eyes as someone that works within those brands and think, yeah, we're going to do that. Like, this is a new amazing revenue stream. Yeah, it is, but also you have to lean into the innovation, as I was saying before, respect the ethos of Web3 and really engage the people that are building within it. If you don't have that authenticity, it's very, very easily recognized. And so a lot of brands that are coming in do not have a very fleshed out Web3 strategy. And when that happens, we can tell, and they lose respect.
Get shunned.
Yeah. And so a lot of brands that have come in and just kind of, thrown something there and like hope that people throw money at it, they've kind of ruined their reputation in the space, which is very important right now because we are so early. Mass adopters might not remember or know in the next 5 years, but the people that have really, really built this space will, and you'll lose opportunity. So I think that anyone that has a brand that's looking at getting into this space right now, there is an incredible pool of talent within this space that are happily advising and sharing information, and it's all there for you. So I would definitely, if you're looking to do that, reach out to people, talk to people. You just need like a few champions within your workspace to really help guide the ship. And I think that if you're operating with a big roadmap in mind, you don't need to know what it looks like, but just with the intention to continue, that will be respected over just a flash in a pan.
Justin, how are you helping brands not look bad when they step foot into this place?
So I do think that a lot of people just got, sucked up into a hype cycle and felt like they, had to do something, whatever it was. And there were probably a lot of brands who were in Decentraland Fashion Week who just, it's happening and I got to do it. So for our perspective, though, we have a sort of land and extend philosophy, which is all about iteration, right? So let's just take Forever 21, which is a brand that we manage in the metaverse. When we first conceived of putting them in the metaverse, it was 2001. There were no brands in the metaverse. We ended up being the third brand. We picked one spot to land. We're like Roblox, big scale, easy to understand, existing economy where people were really making money, and you could visually see it in a way that like anybody could really understand it. It wasn't complicated. So we put them there. We were the third brand there, ever. We were the first people to launch a variety of their new technologies that helped build up an entire fashion retail business in their platform. And now we are like the #1 seller of virtual goods as a brand, ahead of Nike, ahead of Vans, and a bunch of other top-level brands in that. On the back of that success, they were in Metaverse Fashion Week. And then over the course of a year, we ended up doing 7 other activations in different platforms to help learn what's going to work, we're consumers, how do we build our community. And it all culminated in a circle. So at the end of our 1 year, which was December for them, we took the best-selling virtual items that we had built that were not actually real Forever 21 items, like they didn't ever exist in the store, they only existed in our virtual worlds, and we then took those and made real physical items that launched in real stores. So this is one of our #1 sellers in the metaverse. It is not something that ever exists. You'll notice it says Forever, but not Forever 21. We built it, we designed it for them. It sold a huge number of them, and now they have a real world, not just hat, sweatshirts, t-shirts, and a whole metaverse collection based on that. And that's because we iterated, built a community, and figured out how to monetize it.
All right. Zach, how are you like helping people walk into NFTs right now?
Yeah, so blockchain is forever, right? So once you do something, it's there. So people will always be able to see it, know what you did, how you behaved. You can't hide that. So transparency is something that's really huge when you're thinking about NFTs and crypto in the blockchain space. So if a brand is going to come in and it's going to be a quick thing, so long as they communicate that, I think it's fine. And I think on the brand side and the business side, it's good for them to experiment and try new things because it is a new technology. They need to have teams. We're seeing those teams grow now, which is exciting, but they needed to dip their toes in it. So I think when you're talking about the flash in the pan and some of the guys that pulled out quick and the cash grabs, that wasn't good. But at the same time, a lot of those folks learned a lot and are still going to continue on into the space. So I think the real thing here is how powerful is the technology? What can you do with it? What can you learn from it? And like Justin was saying, I mean, he learned a lot, and now they're selling a physical item. Imagine a sneaker business that you can't go make a new sneaker line for every athlete, but maybe they all can have a metaverse shoe. Yeah. And then if some of those sell, you can actually make it. I mean, there's a million examples of that and use cases and the data information that you're able to learn and globally how people can interact with these types of things.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing is being thoughtful, having a real methodical strategy and taking it seriously. And there are a lot of businesses that are looking at it as such.
All right. I've got a question about, and you guys kind of touched on it obliquely, but in this moment, what success looks like for a brand that's kind of stepping foot into the metaverse, whether it's doing something from a creator-led position, whether it's kind of like setting up their first shop, whether it's kind of creating something that's a longer-term strategy that evolves across platforms or across spaces. Has that kind of like bar for success changed in any capacity given where we are now versus a year or two ago? And what does that look like to you when you're talking to somebody that you work with or that you're kind of working with from a collaboration standpoint or as a client? Dave, I want to kind of start with you. What does success look like now in the metaverse?
I mean, building on what Zach said, these are wildly powerful tools. They're going to drive fundamental and comprehensive business model change. So success is being really deliberate about what are you going to learn, right? So if you do an experiment, make sure it's adding to your understanding of the space and what the tooling can do. You're intentionally building towards an understanding of what that business model change is and how it's going to affect your business and your community. And if you're doing that in a very thoughtful way and not just chasing hype or a headline or doing something for a quick flash, that's a no regrets move to then jump in and do something of any scale. From our perspective, where we started was during the pandemic, we hired 150,000 people that never sat face to face with another Accenture person or visited an Accenture office. And we were faced with how do you do that onboarding, build culture, community, training, even fun and the collaboration. And so we went all in on, we're going to do more than an experiment. We bought 60,000 headsets. We built a immersive metaverse place for onboarding and a range of employee experiences. We actually built it so that it was lovable in both 2 dimensions and 3 dimensions. We put all 150,000 people through it, and we're getting tremendous data now around the increased retention of the content, the building of communities and the relationships between each other and the collaboration and then just the feedback, the love, the fun. And so, taking a core business need or opportunity you see with your clients and taking a first step, it doesn't have to be as big as we created the world's largest, I think it's still the world's largest corporate enterprise metaverse place. And just make sure you do it intentionally, learn from it, and think wide, think big.
All right. I want to give everybody a last shot of that because we only got a minute or so here. Justin, how have you kind of changed, redialed in your what you talk about when you talk about what success looks like in the metaverse?
Well, here's a good example. So one of the most popular shows across the world is The Voice singing competition. It occurs in 180 different territories, which makes it the most distributed show in the world. They have 180 different, they have a very fervent fan community. People tune in every week to watch this, and love it, and they do it year after year after year in all these territories. That's a completely disjointed experience, right? All it is a broadcast experience for the most part, right? There's not, there's an app, but it's really sort of very rudimentary. So when we think about that type of brand, it's ripe for the connective tissue of taking that community, aggregating that community, allowing them to have more of a participant type of experience as opposed to just a lean back, watch it on screen experience. So using all these tools and technologies that everyone's talking about, putting them in immersive worlds where they could be on the set, allowing people who want to sing in a competition and go on that journey to stardom, and then possibly, make our own version of The Voice in the metaverse that airs or occurs in between the seasons, then rewarding people for doing things like watching the show or interacting with sponsors. So these are the way that we're trying to take these assets and use all the technologies, which is virtual spaces, currencies, NFTs, virtual fashion, and put together an entire ecosystem that transforms the brand from just being one-dimensional to multi-revenue stream.
Got it. Zach?
So our entire goal at RECUR is to make Web3 simple and accessible to everyone, from the consumer to creators to the largest brands. And what that means is it has to be really easy for them to work with and integrate in their existing systems. So many people, as they're approaching the NFT space or the metaverse space, it's totally siloed. It's separate, or it has been for the past 2 years, but we created tools that actually connect it all. So for example, we work with Paramount is one of the folks we work with. And when Top Gun came out, they want to drive folks in real life to go to theaters to a midnight showing at AMC's and Cinemarks nationally. So one of the things they did in conjunction with Cinemark and AMC was give away NFTs to those folks that actually sat in the seats, that actually went and watched the movie. And then afterwards, they were given an NFT or a code to go and access this digital world, digital experience. And about 20,000 or so actually did, and they redeemed that NFT. It was a free NFT. And then 3 months later, they had a promotion with another partner of theirs, Dave & Buster's, where they were allowed or able to give those users a free ride of the new Top Gun virtual game, right? Virtual ride. And that was amazing for Paramount because they got to target their biggest Top Gun fan, identify who they were, because they did all those actions, and continue telling the story from May when Top Gun launched to November when they did the Dave & Buster's to in between when people were engaging digitally online, which is really special for them as a business and what they can do from a loyalty perspective there. But then again, for the consumer, imagine you love Top Gun, you go see the midnight showing, that's awesome. Then you get to have a digital experience and get a digital helmet, awesome. And then 2 or 3 months later, you get the surprise and delight of being able to go into a Dave & Buster's somewhere in one of your cities and go and ride an awesome ride, amazing. So for us, as we're thinking about what success is, it's how can we make it as easy as possible to integrate these tools in existing programs for these large brands and institutions to onboard the masses in this space.
Got it.
I love that, by the way. I want to pay lots of kudos on that.
Thank you. We got to wrap it up. So, Betty, I would love to know, like, what for you right now, how have you kind of changed your definition of success, particularly from where you're coming from as a creator?
So the way that I define success, especially when I look at myself and how I operate in the metaverse with Deadfellaz, but how I look at other people's success hasn't really changed. I feel like I've always looked at this space as an opportunity to extend experiences and to transform the way the relationship dynamics work between creator and consumer, right? There's a power dynamic between someone interacting with a brand and the brand itself, which is typically just one way back and forth, that's it. In web3, it is really just more of a circular thing, a circular value exchange. So it's, while people are looking at bottom lines and, you know, you can make all this money, yes, that's true, but also it's, the participants are being rewarded, like you were just talking about, for their participation. We've been working within an attention economy and trying to, fight for attention and views and likes and all of these things as brands over the last few years. Now it's kind of shifting because consumers are so much savvier, right? Teenagers, children are spending billions of dollars on digital assets in video games. It's not hard to understand when you go to like a Walmart, there's just walls of vouchers for digital items that people spend a lot of money on just now, and that's an extension of their experience. So when I look at success in this world, it's similar. How can we extend the experience of the people participating? How can we reward those people with ownership and with, new amazing ways to feel part of the brand, not just a consumer of the brand? So that's really how I define success in this space. And we're seeing it a lot. Props to Paramount for doing that, because that's a really good example of what can be done.
Amazing. All right, well, thank you everybody for joining us. Please give a big round of applause to Betty, Zach, Justin, and Dave for their wisdom and brilliance. Appreciate it. And enjoy the rest of your CES.
Are we going to take a picture?
Yes, yeah. We come back for 2 more hours after this.